Hi, my name's Chloe Carey, and I'm going to be talking about how technology has changed over time. I interviewed my dad named Curtis Carey, who is 54 years old. So to start off listening to music. So he talked about as a kid how they had a huge radio out in their family room, and you could listen to the radio or the stereo system with headphones, but you couldn't be in your room like you can now. But most music, he said, was played out loud, and I asked him if there was any inappropriate music, and he really said that there wasn't. He said if there was, you'd listen to headphones, but he would listen to Kiss, and it wasn't like his family loved it, but I mean, they were okay with it. Which is a little different because now you get a little more explicit music, but pretty much what he wanted to emphasize was that everything was pretty public. So then we get into types of devices. So it was common back then to only have a home phone. Nobody really had a cell phone growing up. It wasn't efficient, and you had to know your parents' numbers and your friends' numbers if you wanted to reach them or make a plan at school. He happened to live in a neighborhood, and so there was a lot of kids around for him to play with where you would just have to go knock on the door versus texting somebody. So it was a lot more face to face. Buying music is a lot different than it is now. Now we have our apps and we can go into iTunes and we can buy whatever music we want, or we have Spotify or Pandora, other stuff like that. But to go buy music, you would have to go to a store. He grew up in a little town called Pomeroy, and so they really only sold what was on the radio, so there wasn't a bunch of different types of music like we're seeing now. It was more just whatever is popular, that's what everybody listened to. Everybody listened to the same music. Yeah, that's what he had. As far as movies, you did have your VHS and other stuff like that. But where he lived to go to the movie theater, they would usually get the movies that came out about a year later. It was out in the public, and it was just a little small rundown movie theater. Movies as well with your family, there was generally only one TV in the family room, so you would have to make sure and agree on a movie that everybody was okay with. TV shows only aired really Saturdays for kids, and they would only go from 8 to 12, and so he would watch cartoons on Saturday. That's what everybody wanted to do, and then go out and play outside. Also, for TV shows during the week, the whole family would have to watch it together, and so you would have to work with your family members and agree on what you wanted to watch. Family dynamic with technology. Obviously, I just mentioned how you talk with your family about what you want to watch and what's appropriate for everyone. One TV was common, and so it was really one of those things that you had to work pretty hard at with your family. It was something you had to agree on. So with cars now, I mean, we have Bluetooth, we have, you can plug it in while it's charging your phone. I mean, you have the radio. Some cars probably still have CDs. But back when my dad was growing up, he had a cassette player in his car, and he had the radio. So the cassette could only hold a couple of cassettes. You could rotate that, but he said that he generally listened to the radio, and then when CDs came out, that became a little better, but generally, that's what you're saying. He also touched a little bit on technology and the addiction that we're seeing today, where teenagers are averaging, 7 hours on their phone. And he said that it wasn't as prevalent because shows were only on at certain times, and music got a little boring because it was the same, it was the same music. He didn't really have much choice. And so he said because we weren't bombarded and that wasn't necessarily the goal at that point, was to just push so much that you really had a nice balance there. So that leads me into my conclusion. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Yeah, this was this was really cool to hear about other perspectives and get to see get to learn a little bit more about how my dad grew up and just all the differences between then and now. So yeah, super cool project.